Hi, this is Debbie Narver, and I wanted to introduce some tips on developing strategic thinking skills for managers, and in particular, how it relates to strategic management and strategic management training. How can managers develop skills in strategic thinking? Well, first, we need to understand what it is and why it's important. So I'll talk a bit on that. We'll then look at the relationship to strategic management and in particular strategic management training. And finally, I'll provide some recommendations for moving forward. So what is strategic thinking in management? Well, strategic thinking can be quite complex and difficult to measure, but it essentially is about the ability to consider and plan for broader, long-range objectives, to be able to recognize and navigate the complex interdependencies in the business world. Essentially, it's moving from reactive to proactive. So in terms of perceiving not only what is now, but what may be. In terms of focusing, not just on internal operations, which is essential, but to see it as part of a larger system and how things are all interconnected. And in terms of critical thinking, not only to analyze what is happening, but synthesizing, again, moving ahead. Why is strategic thinking in management important? Well, essentially, organizations need to have that big picture perspective. It allows them to achieve competitive advantage, and it allows them to stay aware of potential disruptive, game-changing events. This article by Robert Kabikoff in the Harvard Business Review summarized some research by the Management Research Group in 2013, which provided some evidence of the importance of strategic thinking. And I've just cut out a quote here which I thought really summarizes it. We found that a strategic approach to leadership was, on average, 10 times more important to the perception of effectiveness than other behaviors studied. It was twice as important as communication, the second most important behavior, and almost 50 times more important than hands-on tactical behavior. So you can see there's some evidence here that supports how important strategic management is to organizations. But how do we develop strategic thinking? Well, the way I look at it is that strategic thinking in management requires both an understanding of the tangible or technical skills, the strategic management skills, and the soft, emotional, more like leadership skills. It requires managers to shift their perspectives from being doers to thinkers. And this can be challenging both intellectually and emotionally because we tend to have developed our identity over time. And if we've been brought up, especially through the technical realms, and have always felt that we're the type of people that are doers, it can be quite a shift to start thinking that we are now thinkers. We have deeply ingrained ways of thinking, and it can take some time for us to really shift our own identity. So I believe one approach is to start with a focus on these more technical and tangible skills, which are the strategic management skills. Let's look at the relationship between strategic thinking and strategic management. Strategic management provides the structure for strategic thinking in organizations. It includes common language, as you've heard, things like vision, mission, values, performance measures, etc. So it provides a framework to achieve our goals and vision. But where do we start with strategic management training? Well, first of all, what exactly is strategic management, and what specific skills are required? Well, I tried to break out some components of strategic management, but ultimately it's the activities that contribute to the long-term success of an organization. It's about how to achieve our vision, how to make sure we're focusing on our mission and supporting our underlying values for long-term success. So I've identified things like strategic planning, which I think most people are pretty aware that strategic planning is an important component of strategic management. But it can also include change management because often our strategies point out where we need to change. It can be problem solving. So what is it we're trying to overcome? And we need to think about that from a strategic perspective, not just our day-to-day operations. Strategic HR, what is our long-term goal for hiring and retention? Performance management, how do we break down big strategic goals into smaller pieces throughout the organization? And how do we make sure everything's going in the same direction? And I think underlying it all is really that strategic communication. How do we understand how to get information not only out throughout the organization, but to understand what's going on? So this is all sort of pieces that come together in what I would consider strategic management. So I'll talk about some tips I have on how to select the right strategic management training program. Well, first of all, look for clearly defined learning objectives. You need to see what will the participants be able to do as a result of the course. So beware of vague promises. We know there's a lot of courses out there that promise things, but look for something that's got some really concrete learning objectives. Make sure there's an evaluation component, because how will the participants know if they've met the objectives of the course? So a course should include at least some form of self-evaluation and perhaps some other methods that participants can test their skills and make sure that they've achieved the levels they need to. Make sure there's an applied component, because theory alone doesn't develop leadership skills. There needs to be some exercises, such as case studies, for participants to be able to simulate how they would use techniques in the real world. And make sure they get meaningful feedback. So perhaps something like a 360-degree survey or other type of structured evaluation can help to provide some insights as to whether participants are really moving along in terms of developing their strategic thinking and strategic management skills. Or perhaps they can find a trusted mentor. But it's really important to make sure that you find the right tool or person that can give meaningful feedback and provide guidance. Set up for continuous learning. These are very complex skills which require time, so don't expect skills to happen overnight. You might want to break it down and take them in smaller increments. For example, you might want to focus on its particular aspects such as strategic planning or performance management and really learn that and take some time to practice in the real world rather than try to learn it all at once. So maybe keep a journal to track your progress, and then you can see how you're making success. And be sure to celebrate those successes along the way. So to summarize my thoughts on developing strategic thinking for managers, these skills are very important for organizations, but they're complex and can be difficult to train for and measure. Strategic management skills are more tangible and can provide a framework for developing strategic thinking skills in management. Look for strategic management training with specific learning objectives, real-world application, and evaluation tools. And make sure participants receive meaningful feedback and support for continuous learning. So thank you, and you can learn more about our strategic management development and training for managers. I'm an instructor with the NMC Strategic Manager, and please visit our website to view more about our courses and send us any inquiries to learn more about how we can help your organization develop strategic thinking and strategic management skills. Thank you.